about this thing. Okay, there we go. Happy Saturday, happy Saturday. So today we will have a look on SingularityNet Deepfund program. And it's pretty cool because here with the audience, we don't need to explain too much because you know all Catalyst very well already and you know blockchain already very well. And I go to share my screen for 1 second. This one. There we go. Okay, so Deepfund. Deepfund is very much SingularityNet project catalyst, I would say. It's really a platform which is meant to achieve exactly the same goal as we want in Project Catalyst for Cardano, to have a community which engage and participate by identifying, okay, what does the economy and ecosystem and community itself needs to grow and to flourish. The whole process is also very familiar to Project Catalyst. Everything is submitted by ideas and proposals. Those proposals then get voted. When voted, receive funds, and then start to execute. In Catalyst, we have a bunch of categories, a bunch of challenges. Deepfund, the first funding round, which started in the beginning this year and closed just some weeks ago. The winners have been announced this week, I think. And they right now have two main categories. One pool with $500,000 worth in AGIX for projects up to 150,000, and another one exactly the same, but for projects for 14,000. The challenge brief we can compare it very simply to what we in Catalyst have as developer ecosystem, I'd say. And the nice thing is they are not an idea scale. This is awesome already. That's the first really good point. Another one is Deepfund is now there where we have been in Catalyst in Fund 1 or 2, right? So still very on the beginning, very small community, very new community. We're starting to explore and to establish what is possible. So let's have a look, for example, already just really briefly on the platform. So I would say at this one point where we come back later to. So for example, when we go on a proposal, loading. We have a little bit the same interface like an idea scale. Means at first a short summary, and then the proposal is mapped out. The nice thing is we can directly vote here as well, and credible vote. You can vote anonym or public, which is kind of really cool. Topics where you can raise concerns, questions, strength, whatnot. The structure here is that they operate with SWAE, SWAE. This is their idea scale. What we in Catalyst have is idea scale. Deepfund has with SWAE. It's a pretty cool platform. The community structure is very similar to Project Catalyst as well. There's a main Telegram chat and now Discord groups as well, where the community starts to come to each other, to communicate and whatnot. The whole thing is also built on a liquid democratic, I think, idea to say also, okay, it's moving really in the same direction as Project Catalyst does, definitely by own ways and by own experimentations, but yeah, we have the same goal somewhere, I'd say. The other nice thing, SingularityNet, initially a blockchain run on Ethereum, migrating to Cardano right now. I think the tokens are, not the tokens, SingularityNet in general is already, I would say, half migrated because you have already the AGIX token in Cardano blockchain, but I think staking is not possible yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, Thibaut. But yeah, so we see already, cool, really nice energy. And coming back to Project Catalyst, where we have since Fund 7, the cross-chain collaboration challenge, where we know also, hey, we in Catalyst, we also want to go and support and explore other ecosystems and communities. And what happened? So this just short overview. And what happened the last, I would say, some month, Thibaut, he found out at first, I think, about Deepfund platform, invited me there 3 months ago. And we had already some chat there and started to get in contact with their community and everything. And now there's really a beautiful situation where we have the Deepfund community with what we had in Catalyst in Fund 1. And they are building up everything now, right? And they don't have the experience and the expertise. And we're here in Catalyst Swarm, and in Catalyst, we have some hardcore veterans OGs already in the community who know very well as well from the perspective as a role, as a voter, as a participant, as a proposer or whatnot. What are advantages, what are disadvantages? We are pretty strong in building these communities here, communicating with each other, figuring out how to collaborate and everything. And the main goal now, or the main idea, is to say, hey, Catalyst Swarm is currently full-time hardcore engaged in Catalyst and all, but what could we do to take the experience and the knowledge which we earned in Catalyst and help other communities and ecosystem to build their way with what we have learned already. And that's the idea right now. So to say, hey, we expand and building communities with communities.
Would add some cool facts about the deep funding platform itself. One thing is that the platform creators, the SWA team, is very responsive compared to ITS scale. So right now in this project Catalyst, we feel like IOG is like the middleman trying to figure out what can be done and what can't be done. But in SWA, literally, I said, hey, there is some things I don't dislike or could be changed. The CEO directly answered me, and then tech people started talking. I'm like, well, holy shit, this is a way to go, and stuff got updated. And then I actually saw the facade of what can happen on the proposal, because the Spark fix was actually also a proposal, but just a different challenge. And there was like a timeline and stuff was happening. So the platform itself is more interactive, and which adds more possibility. And the network also feels a bit more stronger, or the partnerships at least between them. And another thing, as now last month they started, or this month actually, it's not yet ended, they started this ambassador program pilot, which is basically something like a town hall, but they are not related to deep funding. They're related to entire like Singularity suite. But it's very closely, you can see that it is it's taking that innovation and emerging stuff from the deep funding, at least at some levels, they are like leveraging that news, what's coming there. And the way I also started like pushing Felix more into this and like keeping more of these Catalyst people involved there, because we do have these networks. We create the sessions and workshops and kind of have an idea how could we work. So was wondering if anybody also willing to jump in, create that discussion layers or these meetings or working groups on that environment where there are a bit more shy people at first, because like we also, as we started out, it was almost same here, with more listening culture, but there is a lot of experts there and people who actually want to do work, but they also don't know yet how to do it and how to coordinate. And this is, I think, where we could take our experience and get them up to speed. And that if that succeeds, then yes, like Felix said, it's gonna be very interesting situation where Swarm is now cross network vision. And we could leverage two different blockchain ecosystems to put the tools for each other.
The main idea behind for long term is really to say what we develop here within our community, this collaboration, coordination, and communication on how to build communities, because I think this is pretty awesome what we did with, for example, all the town halls, Latam Town Hall, Eastern Town Hall, Africa Town Hall, making sure they're independent, they run their whole format and everything. So really this community builders who come and help you building your community, but not as users, as participants. This I think is really important. But when I thought about Swarm, we are not targeting at all, yeah, how many users do we have now, do we have and whatnot. We are really looking, hey, how many participants do we have and how can we get them as engaged as possible and support them in this. I think this would be pretty awesome because I need a little bit to realize that, yeah, this actually pretty awesome what we are doing here and can be really valuable for other communities when they just kick off, right? So
cool.
And it works vice versa, like because AGIX is on Cardano, so whatever utility they bring up could be a project catalyst proposal, and that means that we could include them in however working groups or things we are doing in order to shape ideas into something tangible, deliverable. And
how this actually really could look like is a beautiful example where I had a really cool guy with one of the SingularityNet guys said, yeah, they don't have community advisors yet in Deepfund, but they would love to have some. We know in Catalyst we have the problem that we have quite static rules, and by everything what we want to change, we have to pass by IOG. Even if it's just a checkbox, I'm not a bot box in Ideascale to provide, just to say, hey, it's nothing else than that, right? But yeah, and they don't have anything like a community advisor, but they want to have something like a community advisor in Deepfund. So already, hey, how awesome would this be when we have some veteran community advisors here who come to them and give workshops from the experience perspective. Say, hey, this is what the community advisor's experience looks like, and the veteran community advisors. These are problems, these are gaps. So then by our experience, what we have here, we can also handle over to them and maybe have an even easier way to see those, let's say, suggestions or improvements implemented than in our own home at Catalyst. Because what we have learned by mistakes but are not able to directly implement here, we can simply go to them and say, hey, look, this is something what works really well. This is something what works not at all. Like this, they could implement it directly, but then gives us the possibility to regard and reflect then, okay, what is happening with their adjustments, and can verify back and loop back into Catalyst. Say, hey, cool, look, they are used this example, tick, tick, tick. Now we can, when it's then, let's say has been successful there, then also bring it back into Catalyst. So to also create this cross-pollination of ecosystem and communities who work with the same processes and patterns. But maybe, Thibaut, we should shut up and listen to the hours. It's 20 minutes already. Sorry.
Well, if Catalyst is an experiment, then the deep funding, is another experiment. It's just a similar goal, similar. What's that? What's the scientific method? You start with oh geez, I'm on the spot. What's the first one in the scientific method?
Occam's razor.
Well, hypothesis. Yeah, they've got the same hypothesis that I agree. Thank you. And then they're running the experiments, and some scientific crosstalk would be really cool. Would be really cool. But okay, so here's a question in that is how best to do it. Who and where, when, how best to do it.
To this, the current thought is we do exactly the same what we do in Swarm. We tell nobody what he has to do. We simply provide the environment and invite people to do what they want to do.
Yeah,
they don't have anything like a Deepfund town hall right now. What we could do is to say, hey, we help you to set up a Deepfund town hall. Simply implement the same processes there, what we have here. It's not up to us to tell anybody what they should do or what they shouldn't. We simply want to provide the stages and the platforms and introduce simply the concepts which we have here. Listen to each other, try to understand each other, be aware of each other, and by this having the fundamental basics for cooperation, for our collaboration.
Yeah, you could easily imagine a Ideafest similar to the proposals, being prepared and then you present them, but doing it, I would suggest we do it in a different format. Like we break it, or we change a format. We just try something new. Like the one works and we do it the way we do it, but I think we could also try something new. So that would be something interesting. Maybe it's, videos instead. So we say, okay, put time, edit a really good video about your proposal, and then that's what goes out, and that's something that we could do in Catalyst, because I think people do really enjoy the live presentation to understand the projects, right? So yeah, ideas like that are easily transferable and I think would support them. I do agree with Newman though. It's getting the right access point and the right ears to do it and the right people at the table, but it's not insurmountable. I think we know the community where, they are on Cardano, so it's not hard to reach out,
And their folks are really pretty cool so far. So since I'm involved there and then joining Discords and Discord calls there, they're really very similar to what we have in Catalyst. They're just pretty awesome people who come together to build.
I have a question. What are so Project Catalyst funding cycles are 4 months now. What are the SingularityNet? What does their schedule look like? How does it coincide with ours? And because there's efficiencies to be gained in these cycles, and if we can coordinate some, I'm curious as to what the cycles are, how they line up, and how we can transition between them to bring the most value to both communities.
Currently, the timeline is quite messy. So we can compare Fund 1, where you didn't, and Fund 2, and every iteration, it changed a lot. So it's gonna be the same. But right now they don't even have the current plan in place. They know that they're gonna launch again the funding and challenges what Felix showed, but it's in Q3, so there is, and they don't have a date, so it's gonna take months before they start another one. Yeah, that's one thing. But yeah, at some point it would be interesting to make sure that if they're gonna adopt community advisor stage or something and make it stage based, then it's not happening at the same time when, I don't know, we have a crunch time in Catalyst.
The impact can be huge, I think, because we can in some way export the knowledge and experience of Catalyst in general to other communities and form some bridges between communities in general. And I'm happy for the Swarm, because they are doing a great job around the community. Congratulations.
Yeah. One thing what bothers me is that, is there something what we kind of messed up in Catalyst? Because as we see, introducing community advisors and allowing that open access and everybody, it has, and which created the necessity of veteran community advisors, and now which created the necessity of siloed veteran community advisors, and now it kind of feels like we need more quality control on veteran community. So there is a danger, spiral path of kind of centralizing information and knowledge on some aspect. So there is if we introduce some of these aspects to the defunding, we might end up in a similar path, although people are different. So are there any methods or thinking on any, because I see Dan here and Aaron here who are working with governance tools and collaboration methods. Are there any roles what are not community advisors but have a similar evaluation skill set, which could we create or suggest or think out? Because there is a possibility of changing the cycle or the way innovation is done.
I think there's also a really great opportunity here to bridge the two and have one part of your project, the AI part on SingularityNet Deepfunding, and then another part on the Catalyst to do the DApp or the community or whatever pieces, and be able to do more, I don't know if it's complicated or bigger visions, because you have two sources of potential funding there. So there may be avenues to do the cross-chain thing. I do think in the future, blockchain and AI are two of the few exponential technologies that are going to eat the planet, and combining the two, I think, is going to be really amazing.
Or you just maybe think, oh yeah, if you have a wallet and both have the same snapshot time, you technically have two voting tokens, AGIX and ADA, and their weight are different maybe. And so it starts technically being different.
Yeah, I think, maybe this is I'm embarrassing myself here, but I'm kind of afraid of the technical side to go over. Like, that's kind of what's been stopping me, is like how steep the learning curve into Cardano is, like drinking from a fire hose. I don't know that I can do that again with AI yet. So I'm just like wondering, I'm afraid to jump over because I want to do more. I want to be invested more. I don't have time to do more. And I'm already doing as much as I can. And I'm like, do I need another thing? But then I talk about it, I hear us talk about it. I'm like, yeah, of course you need to get over that. So people who know it, what is the learning curve? What is your experience? Felix, you've been going to a couple of the calls. I would love to have that information.
I think we are on the most comfortable part of the learning curve, because we know already what a wallet is. We know what proof of stake is about. We know about funding cycles. We know about community engagement. All the stuff what we had to learn by ourselves by getting involved in Cardano and Catalyst, we don't have to do a second time for SingularityNet. It's a proof of stake chain, stake pools, wallets, Deepfund like Catalyst. The most of the stuff we know already. And as in Catalyst, is it really important that you know about Ouroboros, JP? It isn't. Is it really that important that you are such a deep expert in AI to be in order to be engaged on their platform and the blockchain? No, it isn't. The thing what we cover is this community building aspect, which is interestingly not at all related to Cardano only, right? Because what we do here, you could do in quite pretty every fucking blockchain ecosystem. But the onboard at the learning process, for example, Nori, he posted some links, because there are some fine parts, for example, for us in Project Catalyst, the funded proposer, he never signs anything or whatnot. In Deepfund, it's a little different. They have a much more serious, let's say, engagement with the funded projects there. So there's definitely stuff we need to learn, but I think relatively, really not that much. Most of the things we know.
Yeah, JP, I feel you. That definitely is. You highlighted the pitfall of taking on another project or jumping into another community, and Felix sort of explained the difference of like that you may know more about it. It may not be so overwhelming, and this isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but my comment would be that the fundamental pattern of collaboration and dealing with the overwhelmed fire hose that we've got going here, like you may be able to sort of bring that to the deep funding. For instance, like just not taking on too much. Of course, something leaves towns, something comes to town, something leaves town. So doing another thing there, you might have to, cut some things off here or others, so that's one way to sort of change the system. But the other might be to just work more efficiently. For instance, when you do collaborations, other little tips and tricks about there. One thing that I'm doing is I'm just building projects. So a meeting has a goal, doing the time the time blocking, these fundamental productivity, tips, that I learned here, that I think that I could do in others. I'm interested to look and see just how they do it, just to see how it informs me and makes my experience here valuable, because I'm like, oh wow, look, I know what's going on here. It's not so those are my comments.
Hey, Tivo, did you get your question answered?
No.
Which one?
I don't remember even question.
No, which question? Re-ask it.
He asked the question about quality control, and that we face the same quality control problems over in deep funding, and if there's any new kind of roles that can be established to address it. Do I have that right, Tivo?
Yeah. I guess nobody had a specific idea.
He may have an answer.
Yeah.
But when you look from it, I think as they grow as well, their platform, their community, and everything which grows will run in this regard, will run into problems of quality assurance and check. So I think definitely this will become a problem for them as well. But Harry, you had your hand up, and then Sebastian.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I've not been to Swarm before, so thank you very much. It was just a quickie, and it was on Tivo's point, really. There was two bits. I think we've talked with a few guys inside and outside of Catalyst, and my experience is the centralized, decentralized thing just happens, and it's a flow, and it happens in business. It's usually a 7 to 10 year energy cycle, where literally physical, at one stage the company is headquartered in the capital city, and then that goes on, and then 5 or 6, 10 years later, all the power then has moved out to the regions because they got bored of being told what to do, and then it goes back another 7, 10 years later. And I think that's just a natural issue. So this centralization bit, as you were saying, when you build all these structures in, having gone through the .com and gone through various the internet ones, and then the recession, that's what happens. It ends up, you start with the community, you're looking at products, and then products run to business lines, and it just gets more and more definition. And then after a while, that doesn't work anymore. Like you were saying, Tivo, it just gets too much admin, and it goes straight back and goes the other way. That's my learning in that space. And I think my comment on SingularityNet, and I'm not a techie like you guys, is when we looked at it originally, I really liked the fact they've got more business structure in there, because one of the firms that we work with is Genius U, and they've built their metaversity on SingularityNet. And I think if I'm right, guys, they charge, well, they'll take an equity percentage for funding you. So they have that, as you were saying, contracts are in place, and there's an entity you can deal with, and you can invoice people, and it's just a different approach. However, they've got some really good, because of that, they've got some of the business side that perhaps Catalyst hasn't got to yet. That was my comments.
I think with that situation of connect to communities, and in general connect more communities to Catalyst, I think that in the case of Singularity Connect, in the connection with Catalyst, maybe we can bring to Catalyst some experiences in the form of solution to some problems that we have currently. For example, the thing about the community advisors, and this thing about the reputation of some advisory, these situations that are annoying to the people in some situations. The thing is, I think that we can, with a new community, with a new experiment as Singularity, we can bring some aspects to solutions, some some things in our community, some learning, some knowledge in general, I think. Thanks.
I would answer JP regarding like hopping to one community and then like learning, oh, there is so much to do, or and what would I drop off in this? I would say that at some ways it's all one big community, and I think what the value there is that even as a listener, as you go in, you will be able to kind of connect with people that you understand what you're doing. And once you, and all the technical stuff, like the proposal, submission, all these are like deep funding stuff are different. I think you're very fast to like, you get the answer like, oh, but this doesn't work, how it works, and you basically find your answer. I think it's gonna blaze through that in minutes. But the connection part and like you will notice a lot of like things which you see, oh, this could be so much better, and we already have the solution, but you know that it also takes a lot of work to kind of set it up and make it to the stage where we have it. So I would just say that it's enough for now to join in, listen, because it's so emerging, and coordinate and see like, oh, this group is doing that and they are looking for that help, and you kind of can give advice, and we will see if there is anybody in the SingularityNet as they join and like raise hands up. Okay, I will look through the network, what you're providing me, or the resources, and figure my way through, and take more of maybe an advisory position at the start, which doesn't take that much time. At least I assume it doesn't.
And ideally, I would think about a Fund 9 proposal from Catalyst 1, because as we know, hey, okay, this request time and engagement, and for sure the folks who engaged there, I think they should be rewarded. And we have the cross-chain collaboration challenge. And because I think also how fucking cool would this be if we really use, because Cardano wants this cross-chain collaboration, and we move in also with proposals like this and say, hey, okay, outreach, tick. And in the best case, we have our folks helping their community, building their own community, but being funded by Cardano. This is it. This would just be fucking like, what? This is sexy. Yep.
Yeah, no, it's so enticing. That's what I'm afraid of, is that you hear about it, and even what I've read, I'm like, oh yeah, this and Cardano together is the future. Like SingularityNet is my second favorite after Cardano, so I'm all in. But I'm just afraid because, like you said, something's got to give, right? So just say goodbye to my NFT addiction, I guess, because that's the only thing I can cut. But whatever, because that's the only thing I spend so much time on. But back to what Harry was saying, I really want to say I think it's true. Like there's going to be some mess, and there's going to be trends over time where things, seem like a really good idea and everyone flows in one way, and then it retrenches back to something else. And so I think we've experienced that when it gets too big and unruly, and then, okay, well, let's break it down and we do it smaller and we get it. But then we're like, it's too small. We're in silos. We got to get back, and then we cross. And so it's like it's this ever-changing organism in a sense, right, of governance. And so I don't know if there's ever a perfect state of it, or if they're like, it's always going to be that growth, but as long as we're growing and iterating. But anyway, I appreciate the support. I'll probably go in and listen. I've already signed up for the emails and everything, but anyway.
Yeah, I see what we do in Swarm as like at least what we got a lot of CC admin team here as well. Like we're pioneering kind of like a virtual office for blockchain communities, as well as commons with the town halls, and it's a lot of process, it's a lot of, and it's just like vibes. It's keeping these grounds open for people to come in and feel like they can share and learn together. And I don't know of any other communities that are doing that. That's why I'm here and I'm excited. I think when we think about like going into another community and kind of helping them, the only like potential downside I see to that is coming in with too much of our own process, like that would essentially we want to make sure that we're letting the people who are in there already, develop and come to their own conclusions, not just like, here's the script, here's how you read it, and go from there like that. But that's all I got to say. I just am very fascinated in thinking about the commons and how to protect and be the type of citizen to operate in these types of commons. That's it.
Yeah, just to follow up what Peter said, and that's a great point of when if we roll into the deep funding group and sort of say and that I think is and sort of think, here are this thing that works for us, so it's obviously going to work for you, or it's things that work here, obviously it's going to work there. And that's a pitfall of comparative studies, and if you take that scientific method type of thing, it's just like, okay, let's verify like these things, like here's another experiment, or here's something that worked for us, and really taking that posture of listening, especially first, of course, but then actually like what Felix says, like, okay, we're not going to try to tell you what to do, so we create this environment, and then you can say, hey, look, and then you can invite people over to say, hey, look, to think about what Tevo said with the quality control and the CA work, and say, this is how we handled that problem. And here's the beauty of it. It helps us, it puts into sharp relief our learnings and sort of understandings and our processes. So then we now can have a more refined sort of sense. And we're moving along that process of collating and emerging, as opposed to sort of breaking apart. We're like, oh, right, now we've got more experiment out there. Yeah. I'm glad that we're talking about this. This is great.
I would also say it's a little bit from a organic growth of the Catalyst swarm. It's what just takes the next step. Because what we saw in the beginning, okay, we want to establish this centers of gravity where people come together, share ideas, speak with each other and whatnot. But shit, not everybody speaks English, right? And not everybody feels fine. So, okay, Eastern Town, Latin Town, Africa Town, where we saw already, okay, this concepts and this formats of community interaction and decision-making and ideating, can we adapt it out of, let's say, the Western industrial world? And we saw, wow, this is working actually quite awesome. It's even working better for them than for us, as it seems, somehow. So we have to reality check that and see already, okay, we can adjust and adapt to local context, which is amazing. And now when we just look on it from another scale to say as well, okay, we have the proof already that we are able to establish this concepts and this format on any places on the world, because it's anyway a global, fully remote community, but we are able to capture local interests or challenges or problems. We found a way to to overpass the language problem. I wouldn't say we found the perfect solution, but we found a really tasty beginning, and there's still a lot to do. But yeah, and now to say, oh, okay, and then we got to scalability, to say, oh, okay, now let's figure out how we can adapt and adjust of our formats to other ecosystems, to other blockchains. And SingularityNet is the perfect, I would say, partner in this regard, because hey, they are already migrating to Cardano. We have already the cross-chain challenges. They are building liquid democracy protocols. We are doing, they want to have this global community engaging in Deepfund to build the community exactly the same what we want to do here. So, hey, Ninh.
Guys, how's it going?
Happy Saturday.
And Sebastian, your hands up, and then Harry, and then Tivo. Wow, we have a whole line. Cool.
So thanks. In my question is, in this case, in what extent the dynamics of catalysts can be equal to the dynamics in Singularity as a community level, or as independent of the kind of technology that Singularity manage in general. The dynamics are equal? That's it.
I don't feel safe to answer to this. Does anybody do?
No, I agree with Newman in the same of the in the position of our knowledge and experiences in Catalyst are gonna be in proof, in test, and that's cool for growing and some kind of evolution in general.
And my one, I think, went back to some of the comments about perhaps going over to SingularityNet and pluting it. And really, it was what struck me was something that Nori and Felix said a while ago about bridge builders and Sakura, which is really what you guys are brilliant at, is creating a container and a framework. And that's what you've done brilliantly. And all you're doing is just taking that to a different organism, different space. So you're not trying to get into the content. The brilliance is what you guys do is that contextual bit. That's how I survive, JP. I know nothing about the technology. But I do understand how to make it fit.
Yeah.
I got a question. When we go, let's take it very short term. Next week, there is gonna be another working group in SingularityNet, another town hall. What is the first 3 things we could propose? What are most important, we think, for them? I can start also. My first yes, what like suggestion would be to set up a timeline or a schedule with the possibility like these Zoom meetings, basically, to create a continuous or yeah, basically more working groups where people can join in instead of these weekly town halls, which have a bit of agenda and then discussion, but already start like with the swarm, that with the early stage where we thought of a name, like said, we discussed here earlier today that yes, this is a deep funding topic. And now in this deep funding topic, let's say we're gonna talk about the people who got funded or the process, and give like specific titles and see how, like, if people are going to show up and who are and how many. So that would be like the first setup would expand their collaboration in their network. But is there any experiment from your experiences? What could be the next thing we should try?
Here, I'll jump in on that. I would be interested to know, like, because there's just so now all of a sudden there's just tons. It's like we know that they're using an idea scale type of thing, but it's different. What other tools are we using that they are using? We mentioned Zoom, like we're here on Zoom. Do they use Zoom? Are they, do they have some other type of service or system? And that's interesting, because then it's sort of like, what are all the tools that we're using? I don't know. It's now I'm fascinated.
To this
point, let me find the Mara board for it.
And to this point, Niemann mentioned before, they are on the same position where Catalyst was in Fund 1, 2. So mainly community lives on Telegram and Discord, and that's it. It's exactly like we had in Fund 1, 2, 3 Catalyst, right? And everything what we had already is we presented a tool suite which we set up with Swarm, this GitHub, Gitbook, Discord, DWalk, to say, hey, okay, those are good tools. Tivo, for sure, you know Tivo, and when you know Tivo, then you know that he's a Miro evangelist. So for sure, he introduced Miro already to them. So what we
I want you to know that I thought that Tevo had developed Miro board. I thought he was Mr. Miro.
Yeah, but we could think that. Yeah, much agree.
I had no idea.
I think it's just one of the most beautiful romances I saw in my life so far. Tivo and Miro. This is definitely a match. So, but yeah, what we did already is to introduce some tools to them. In the last session as well, there was one it was yesterday on Friday, was also about, hey, Notion or Gitbook, for example, where we simply said, okay, we had exactly the same discussion in the beginning, Catalyst, but what we saw, without taking any, let's say, give any advice, we just took the position and said, hey, okay, it was Gitbook which dominated over Notion, and for those reasons. So what we do already is introducing already a little bit our experience and the learnings we made here. But so far, yes, still from on very scratch, everything in Deepfund, I'd say. For example, they run, for example, for the ambassadors program, Tivo, do you have the links to the Notion site of the ambassador program? It's they use Notion mostly in regard to, I would say, like Q&A DAO and Gitbook, right? Having a mix between documentation, archive, and website. But also, I don't think that they are really on the trip to set anything in stone. This is also very similar in their ecosystem to ours, that they really want to experiment as well and figure out, hey, what fits best to them. And now, hey, okay, this is a process. This is something what you won't have in just, okay, take this abonnement and you have everything. And Architect, I saw you had your hands up before.
Yeah, hello guys. It was a mistake. I just want to say hello, but I just raised my hand. I realized. It's a very interesting discussion you have here, and if we want to move forward with what kind of way we want to do, I just thinking loudly. One thing is to what you guys is onto here is maybe defined what is the common, the human common way of solving stuff in cooperation and the way of working together that you guys have experienced so far with Catalyst, Swarm, and you said it's not applied. It's hard to apply in every, should we say, culture and group of people and application area, but you have a kind of common, because we are human, everyone, we kind of have a common way of doing stuff. So define that and kind of focus on that when we take SingularityNet forward. That would be a nice kind of way forward. But this is a quite tricky question, because sometimes people need to understand and come to a certain conclusion by themselves. So this is a very tricky question, but I like, guys, what you say, and yeah, it would be very nice to have great communication with you with experience. Well, that's my thoughts and words.
And architect, maybe you would like to give it a minute to introduce yourself, because I'm quite lucky when I met you. So where are you from?
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm from Sweden, of course. You can all hear that on my accent, maybe? No, just kidding. Yeah, and I was actually, well, entering the crypto space 2021 and got into actually quite soon to Cardano, the Cardano world, and was kind of, yeah, a little bit curious about these community advisors and try to get in that process. And short after, I actually went over and realized that SingularityNet tech and that ecosystem is very nice. So I went by Cardano. And well, so now I'm in the front seat of the SingularityNet start and development, and when it kicks off. I'm by no means the first guy on the plan. I get a question. When did I should know? I was thinking when SingularityNet was born. Does someone have a year of that? Just question.
I would assume 2017, because it was around the same time as Cardano kind of created the tokens. And I remember that at that time, I also started looking at the AGIX and the SingularityNet like shenanigans. 10 years later, I think 2018, I realized, oh, they're actually now planning to partnership. Maybe it was already planned before. But I could be wrong. I don't have any facts. I just have my own assumptions where I was and where I saw.
Yeah, I think I've heard they mention it's around 2017, although Ben's been working on it, he always says, since the 80s.
Yeah, Ben Gertzel, I've been around a while. So, well, so anyway, very interesting tech, and I'm quite interested in this community, how to govern a bunch of people together to develop, to expand, to discover and do stuff better. And so it's very nice to hang with you guys, and yeah, let's build it together. Yeah, that's what I feel.
Let's build it together, definitely. So next steps then, Tivo, you said you proposed to draft the first schedule of community events, workshops, or sessions?
Yeah, I was just putting that down as like one viable option, and and then also hear what others have to say so that we could have some discussions about prioritization. Okay, this first before this, because we need to think strategically. But yeah, right now I didn't really capture more thoughts what could be done next.
Yeah, I think getting just the groups together, I think that's probably the number one thing, getting more people from this community there to discuss, because as I think was mentioned, we don't just want to go and say, well, this is what we've done, this is what we learned. We also want to say, what do you think? What is a good idea to you? And then things that we've learned, we said, yes, we've tried this. This is what happened, right? So I think if we could, I was just going to say I got to go soon, but I would be down to go to those meetings and chat. So if we could do them on a, at a time that I'm available, for sure, I would love to participate. So if that gets set up, I'll do my best to attend. But I think that's probably Tivo, the best idea is just to get it started, create that space, and then let's see what organically comes out of it. And we'll bring our lessons learned, but we're not there with an agenda. Our agenda is to help them grow, how that ecosystem wants to grow, and then, participate in it as well, how we would like to see it grow as a member. Yeah. That's my 2 cents. I'll see you guys soon. I'm off for the day. Bye, guys.
I just wanted to say for a moment, I usually have a lot more to say than I've had today, but I've listened very, very carefully to everything you're discussing, and I've got a lot. I guess I do have a lot to say, but I'm just not feeling very well and not ready to speak my mind on it. But it's certainly very interesting, and I would like to be involved in the collaboration as well. So I just wanted to let you know I'm here but not here. So.
Take your time then. The meeting also is recorded, and we have already someone who will timestamp it. So
great.
You can also jump back and give it even some more time. But as usually, no stress, no pressure to anybody. We have time. We have plenty of time.
Speaking to Tivo's point of first, like, what are the first top 3 things that are important for group coordination, community coordination, to have these types of conversations? Oh, sorry. I feel like he was speaking to a shared calendar of some sort. I find that the friction to getting people to finding availability for everyone is having a somewhat central where you can what events are going on, and that's like maybe like just a shared calendar for or like a calendar that someone at in the AGIX community can they have a calendar like a share when as people are throwing down events that I'll go into that calendar and I can have that inside of my Google Calendar or whatever, and I subscribe to it and I can decide when I'm available to do those things. And it's just kind of knowing they're there without having to go to the Discord or stay completely caught up with the Telegram, stuff like that. Because everyone's busy. It's just, you need to know where to participate when you can. It's that friction. And the calendar is one way to do that, but that requires a centralization of kind of the it all has to go to one point to get, or a group, like let's say like the Catalyst Swarm calendar. Lots of people have access to that calendar and can add things to it. And more, we're seeing stuff like that pop up on that calendar. And like this last month, when the Fund 9 cycle came out, I made funding cycle calendar with all the dates and have been able to share that around the community. I don't even know who's using it or not, but I know that for me, when I was starting, that was confusing. Not necessarily, I would get confused about stuff because it was a little bit hard for me to go find that information again, like find it back when, or it was like a task to do so. But these shared calendars, at least for me, have been super helpful. And I'm not trying to be prescriptive, but that's one thing that I have seen helps people be able to coordinate with each other. It's hard to like throw down a poll and say, hey, people from all over the world, sign up. Let's find a time to all get together and that works for everyone. That's hard to do. That's hard to get consensus on. So it just has to be when the people who are initiating these meetings or are leading a challenge to, or taking lead and saying, I want to have this conversation. Well, when do you want to have it? Put it on the calendar and see who shows up. That seems like super, that's a reduction in a barrier to entry for a lot of people. It's just having access to know when those types of things are.
Just reminded me something. Let me see if I find it. I created a meet to meet or whatever that scheduler thing is for consensus, or that's this some heat map of where people would prefer to meet.
I think this is a point which I think we never can tackle, that we get everybody we want to into a call. But from own experience also, I would say, and this shouldn't be even the goal. The goal is to have these calls with enough brains and thoughts to have a good feedback and to have an alignment. Who those people actually are doesn't matter so much. It's also because we don't want to give the responsibility to people to say, hey, every week you need to show up in here, 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 here in order to make it functional, right? You see, no. What happens mostly, that's the biggest part, the most action happens on Discord, for example, right? Or whatnot. Links are shared and conversations happen and whatnot. But it's really difficult to create this alignment. I think this just to what we could do, for example, simply say, oh, okay, we set up a weekly call together with the folks from Deepfund. This is something what we see, hey, this is really important, have a recurring call. One call every week, same day, same time. Just say, hey, this is something stable, everybody can count on. And everybody knows, oh, okay, it's always there. And if they are not able to join, don't worry, come next week or whatnot. To use those sessions mainly to build alignment on high level stuff. But then moving forward with the work on Discord, whatnot, and then you have always this people call each other and whatnot, and you don't need to coordinate this, right? You just want to motivate the people to call each other, figuring their own stuff out, bringing it back in the next week's call then, right? So I would say the first step is the hardest step, maybe. Just setting up one weekly call saying, hey, very first one, nothing else than maybe what we did in Swarm on the very beginning. It was a lot about introducing the people. Where we had still the circle on the Miro and we said, hey, who are you? Where are you from? This was really important to get to know each other and stuff. So keeping it really human, not going into any specifics, what Architect mentioned before. Covering the human level means also we can cover the level which combines all of us. Of course, we don't go into any topics and discussions or, let's say, deep and dark rabbit holes. We really want to capture the most important on the beginning. Community building means you need to know each other. You need to create relations with each other in order to build trust with each other. Because this, without those established trust, you won't have a community which is flourishing and working well with each other, right? Simply providing spaces for people to speak and to,
Hey guys, sorry I was late. Just had a bunch of meetings, but I think Swarm is doing an amazing job with getting people together and having like a Saturday consistent meeting. Sometimes I join and no one here. Sometimes, but it only happened like twice during Fun 8. And I genuinely really look forward to like seeing you, Felix, and Tivo and Nori. I think last weekend only Tivo and me and who else was here? Somebody else, right? And we connected quickly and just chatted. When I joined Catalyst, I looked at Catalyst Swarm. You guys have the calendar there, right? On the website, and then just clicking on different things and joining the different town halls. I think town halls are very effective ways to get to know the community. I think like one thing that I'm consistently missing on all of these is just a contact form with everyone's contact information, right? And how to best reach out to a person. Maybe if there's like a central repository where, you know, like I'm happy to put my contact information in, and it's just a Google form spreadsheet that's shared with everyone, right? Could be my Discord, Twitter, LinkedIn, blah, blah, blah. And people who hear me speak, or if I hear Dan or Harry or Peter speak, or Harsha, then I can reach out to them. Hey, I noticed you mentioned something. Let's see if, and I can find him on Twitter and chase him down, right? Yeah, I think the website that you guys have works pretty well in terms of, you know, like the different meetings. I download the Cardano community meetup RSS, the calendar, and that one has all the different town halls. But I don't know who is allowed to post events to that meetup community, right? So for example, we have meetings. Okay.
No, it's true, right?
Gotcha.
Just people ask. We assign them as co-organizer, and then they set up the event.
Oh, I see. Like for us, we have meetings every day for the Web3 meeting, Web3 team, and it's open to the public. But then, you know, we do want to invite the community to come, and we just discuss like quadratic voting mechanism and so on.
But Ninh, if we give access to you because you are somehow the perfection of a human bot, you will just fuck up.
Thank you.
No.
I try to be a bot. You know, Felix, actually, this is not the real Ninh. This is the bot talking and join the meeting today. So,
no. But no, what's kidding? If you want host events there, yeah, no worry, we can assign. We can assign you, and you can drop them there if you want.
That would be awesome.
Then, Tivo, let's find a slot. Maybe let's send the invite link for those who are not yet on enough Discord servers. Another one for the Deepfund Discord. They don't have their own Discord for Deepfund. It's a category in the SingularityNet Discord server. But there are 4 channels: one for general, one for community governance, one for proposals, and one for experts. This is something I think interesting to mention. They didn't start it with community advisors, veteran community advisors, referrers, whatnot. They really start with much more the model to say, okay, they want to have this experts from the beginning already somehow really integrated into the system. And the experts are built by 3 main categories. One, feedback group. Those are people think Architect, please correct me if I'm wrong, but mostly people which take a little bit the role as a community advisor, but more really during the proposal process, means giving feedback directly to the proposers. Hey, what could you do? What couldn't you? Define that, whatnot. Then you have governance experts. And a first one, everybody, I think mentors, consultant, I'm not sure about the name of the third one, but the third expert goes really into mentoring, consulting, everything there. And I'm not sure if the sign up still is open or closed, but oh, let me drop the link first.
Sign up for what?
For the expert groups, there was a sign up where you could have where you been able to sign up for one of the to become one of the expert groups. Nah, become member of one of the expert groups. Sorry, Saturday brain. But I dropped the link in the live chat. So one more Discord server for you. Oh my God, I don't even want to imagine what happens when Deepfund becomes a success like Catalyst and just generates each week thousands of Discord servers with projects.
Every funded project, a new server, a new community.
How does Deepfund get funding? Do you guys know?
Exact the same process like in Cardano with the treasury. Singularity, Deepfund is a part of SingularityNet, and Deepfund is really the Singularity's project catalyst, but on its very inception. They just had their very first funding round this year, and second funding round coming Q3. And with this, and with the very same purpose like project catalyst, so build on liquid democracy, building participative community, and using funds to support projects which support everything on Deepfund, means AI, SingularityNet, everything in this direction. Oh my God, I'm not sure if it's good to tell Ninh about this. We'll just explain directly. Ah, cool. But yeah, this is how we kicked off the session, to introduce the whole thing and to say, cool, because what we did with Swarm and Catalyst, to say building all these local communities, for example, developing this format, how to create the center of gravities, and taking this, scale it, and say, how does this work when we use these concepts and formats, and going to SingularityNet Deepfund, which are on their very beginning, like we have been with Project Catalyst in Fund 1, 2, but coming with our experience and our support and helping them to build their communities, building communities with communities.
I heard Thibaut talk about Deepfund last time, and they had like ambassador program and so on. And I'm like, man, I wish I had more time to get involved. We're doing the demo at IOHK and then building things and so on. And then Fund 9 is like right here. Oh my goodness. You know who got funded? Deepfund? Kenrick. Dr. Nelson, right?
Yes.
Kenrick got funded. We're chatting at some point. Maybe he can do like a chat. I don't see like the SNet Deepfund being competitive at all with Catalyst, just extra funding actually. So if we can get more people from Catalyst that are doing AI over there, right? Why not? It's just like double the work. Like you have, 2 ambassador, 2 expert, more proposals.
Maybe not that much, because in this regard, when you say, okay, would double the amount, not really. Let's say, for example, you are a community advisor, and let's say Catalyst and Deepfund would be coordinated, and the community advisors just have 2 weeks of action. And when the funding cycles are coordinated, those people who are not hardcore inside, they could act in these roles across several communities, and veteran community advisors from Catalyst who are really good in reviewing, and you bring them in there and propose them additional place to build stuff. And they are paid in AGIX, so they can swap it on a DEX really easy into ADA. Absolutely no problem if they want to.
Yeah.
So I think it would be even complementary, the both to each other, if it's well done on a really well done collaboration.
Yeah, I see like a CA becoming full-time CA across multiple different places, right?
This is scientific peer review on highest fucking level.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I feel like fear of missing out. This is like first time I have like, holy cow. Now I can't do everything, so I have to actually choose a role, what to do. You know, I tried to create a proposal in the SNet, and I just copy and paste, pretty much change some things, and then they tell me, man, it's not AI enough, and I had a chance to like change it, and I'm like, sorry, man, I don't have time. Sorry, let me withdraw. So let's try another time. But the attention, maybe I will have like one person just dedicated to Catalyst and one person just dedicated to SNet. I'm speaking from like a startup point of view, right?
You have a BI team and data analysts, right? There may be natural affinity there between them and what's happening over there.
And I think from the startup perspective, you don't want different funding platforms where you can say, oh, okay, you develop your whole team there and there and there. I think from a startup perspective, the most interesting part is to say, you want people which know exactly about both of the parts and who can encourage their community and knowledge there and the experience resources to provide this as a service to several, let's say, groups which do this, right?
Yeah.
Say, okay, those experts, what we develop in Catalyst, people who know exactly well about the processes and everything, and they become mentors already. It wouldn't take them too much to take additional knowledge about really how Deepfund is working and everything, and provide, and then you create a new role, which themselves is defined by this cross-chain collaboration already, because only in Catalyst, those mentors mostly struggle, right? If they are able to, let's say, expand their activities over several, let's say, ecosystems, then there's a beautiful connection built over those groups, then over those mentor communities.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of collaboration and cross-pollination. I think just because of Deepfund, a lot of the CAs, if someone posts like an AI proposal in Catalyst, they will kind of know, right, from comments, because in Deepfund they also have comments, so people not only they have good comment, maybe comment, and bad comment, right? Anyways,
you broke off for a second, but
okay. I was saying it's really good for like CAs to be involved and VCAs as well. Oh, Peter, you're like in a forest and I have a dog with you. That's awesome, man. Where they can like if someone posts, it essentially increases the knowledge level of our community as well, especially for AI, right? So if someone proposes like AI, makes an AI proposal, then the community can evaluate better. And Deepfund guys, like obviously they lurk around Catalyst and they're learning from us as well, right? So they can also contribute to this community, and already have in many ways. Like some of our members have won their funding, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Then, yep, it's 1.5 hours already.
Great discussions. Seems the SingularityNet and Swarm collaboration is happening, and people here do feel that it's a great direction.
Let's do it. This is exciting.
I think of all the cross-chain things, this makes the most sense. Like I know we've been doing stuff with a couple of other chains, but SingularityNet is tied to Cardano and Ben and Charles work together and talk and all that. I think it's a good fit. And they're complementary. So I think, yeah, there'll be a lot of benefit from this.
Nice. Then I'd say thanks for the pretty awesome, beautiful conversation, everybody. Hope you have a lovely weekend and hope you still have some time to cool down before Fund 9 kicks off next week then. And if you have some free time, well, we will invite you to some Deepfund Swarm sessions. So, yep, to make sure that when not this year, next year, you are burnt out. And yes.
Yep.
Hopefully, in 50 years, when we all burned out, AI will take over and then we can chill.
Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm
just deploy a new bot.
Thanks for the reminder about AGIX. I've had some for a couple of years now, and I just found out there was a hard fork last year, which I missed. So if you've held AGIX for more than a year, your AGIX is no longer valid. You need to figure out how to get the new stuff airdropped to you.
Over.
Just as a public service announcement, I just found out today, since this came up as a topic.
Yep, you certainly missed the memo. I was also a bit wary, like, oh, I have it in Binance too. I have to move it to the app and always kept up to them. Yeah, at that time I hold more tokens than actually some of the others ones. So I was like, this hardcore stuff, but AGIX, I don't want to lose it. So, make sure that I'm still in the network, but do everything correctly. But yeah, luckily Binance was like, just keep it here. We'll do the trick.
That's nice.
Cool.
And like mentioned, short notice to AGIX token, you can easily get them on any Cardano DEX already. You can swap them there. Only thing is you can't stake them yet.
I would not say it's easy because the slippage fees are crazy. I looked at if I want to sell all my AGIX on ETH and buy back it in the swap, it will cost me $10,000 in transaction fees. What the fuck?
Okay.
Because its slippage fee is going crazy, and I don't know, but maybe this is like statistical thing, and I'm not supposed to like buy entire bulk and like trip in these tokens. But
so
yeah.
Let's say it's easy, but it's fucking expensive.
Yeah. Jeez.
Last greetings from Ethereum. Okay, but gentlemen, please have a lovely rest of your day, and see you soon in one or another place.
Yep. See you around.
See you guys.
And
Have a good
everybody.
one.
Bye.